Hi everyone, this is Tiffany Tran from Find Focus. Today we're going into my webinar called How to Find Focus in Your Business. This is something that a lot of my clients and colleagues have shared recent struggles with, and it's about how do they hone in on one thing that they really want to do more of, spend more time doing in their professional life. And as a lot of you know, it trickles into your personal life as well. So let's get this started. First, I have this quote from Winston Churchill. It's very, very, very accurate, especially today. For the first 25 years of my life, I wanted freedom. For the next 25 years, I wanted order. For the next 25 years after that, I realized that order is freedom. This is completely accurate to what I realized in personal life and in business as well. Nothing really happens without order in business. Perhaps some things have gotten to a level of success without order, but as some of you know, eventually it'll hit a wall where nothing more can be done unless there is some type of order or processes and systems in place. So this is where I want us to focus in on today before we get in onto the other items we want to talk about in finding focus in your business. Now, what I do as an EOS implementer is help companies grow and business owners get more of what they want out of their business by implementing a system that's been proven and based on concepts and tools that have been in existence for many, many years. And helping this set of tools and concepts trickle down from the management team all the way to every single member of the team in the organization, not just at the top. One of my clients has said he finds that growing systems and processes in their company have advanced tremendously, and they've received clear vision because I've implemented systems and processes for them. And through that, we were able to get this company to grow and do training across the world. Now this next slide, it is meant to help us focus, right? There is a wide blue ocean out there, and what do we look at? This little cutout here shows us, all right, this is what we're deciding to look at today. And this image really helps me to center myself on what we're talking about now and just on a daily basis. What is it that I most need to get done to get everything rolling? Or what's the biggest domino that needs to fall to help everything else move along? So some of you have probably heard of the book called The One Thing by Jay Papasan. This presentation I've done at an event where that was the theme, the one thing. And some of you might say, oh, that's easier said than done. Having one thing in your life might be nice, but when is that actually the reality? Who of us is ever in a point or in a state where they're not multitasking? Well, I'm not here to tell you that's not the case. It's true, we multitask during most of the day, but the whole point is that we can spend more of our time doing things that we really excel at and things we love doing, versus spending our time doing many things, most of which maybe we're really not good at and shouldn't be doing. My goal for this webinar is to show you some tools on how to focus your personal strengths in business. Next, to share with you some additional ideas on why doing it yourself hurts your bottom line as a business owner. And lastly, some tips for how to avoid death by meetings. So these are all very big pain points for a lot of entrepreneurs and organizations in general, even those that have grown to a pretty large size. Let's get into it. First, how to focus on your personal strengths in business. What does that even mean? Do what you are great at. This is tried and true advice. Do one thing really well. Now, all of us have heard of this. We look at the Apples of the world. We look at Amazon, that got its start in Amazon books and then branched out to other items. Chick-fil-A, they did chicken sandwiches really well. And why wouldn't this concept apply to you as a business owner and your team if this is what you're applying to your business? So let's think about that. A lot of people say, well, in order to scale your business or grow it, you need to just do one thing really, really well. So Apple started off with the iPods. All right, that makes business sense. They grew and grew and grew, and now they're doing a lot of products. As a business owner, maybe eventually you want to get to the point where you can do one thing that you're amazing at for 80% of your day. Maybe you're the rainmaker. Maybe you're the person who is the one who keeps the relationships with the clients current and maintains the clients. That's probably what you should be spending 80% of your time on, but are you really doing that? This is what this portion of the webinar is about. And it also applies to your team members as well, because a lot of times now people are burning out on doing things that they are not necessarily good at. It's not their special strength. And the more time they spend on doing that, it could potentially lead to dissatisfaction with their work and burnout. And in order to create a great organization, you want to be leveraging people's skills and those skills that they are the best at, not just things that maybe they can do okay or they begrudgingly do. Here's a graphic of a multitasking business owner, entrepreneur. And you can see this person is juggling a calculator, phones, money, systems, ideas, probably management responsibilities, and keeping track of measurables. There's an endless amount of things to keep tabs on. So how do you find out what your strength is if you really don't know? Or how do you pick from among some things that you love doing and are really good at to find the one thing to focus on? That's what we'll talk about in the next slide. So this is a partner exercise that I like to do, but if you don't have a partner with you, that's fine. You can do either of these exercises on your own. And there's two great exercises I recommend. One is by the Strengths Finder 2.0 book, where you download, you access a code and you go onto their website and you take a survey. And it's actually not a very lengthy survey. And you go through, and then at the end of the survey, the test tells you themes in which you excel in. For example, one of my areas was team building and recognizing what people are good at individually. I didn't realize that was a theme or an ability for people to have until I took this test a couple years ago. And it really started to change my outlook on, okay, what are my strengths and what they could possibly be. So there are a lot of themes and focuses that come out of the Strengths Finder test. And what it will also do is somewhat rank them for you in how high they are on your Strengths Finder profile. So I encourage you to give this one a try. You can purchase the book. I think you don't even have to purchase the book. You can go online, and it's based on the Gallup poll resources, and you can do the test online exclusively. Another test or workbook that you can do to hone in on your strengths is called Unique Ability. And this is a workbook that is based on concepts by Dan Sullivan. And unique ability is pretty much the idea of everyone on this earth has a very unique and special talent, or maybe you have more than one, where you should spend most of your time of your day working in that area. And it to the point where it doesn't feel like work, where it just gives you energy versus draining you of energy. So what is so impactful about unique ability for me is that there are very, very useful exercises in this workbook where you can also go through your day and categorize, hey, what do you do with your day? And from the most minuscule task to the biggest task that you have. And then you categorize them into boxes where this is something that you do really great and you love doing it. And the categories are called different things in the book. But the general gist is that after the you love doing it category and you're really great at it, there's a you're good at it and you're okay doing that task. And then there's another category for you're not really good at it and you have no passion for it. And then the last category is you're terrible at it and you really don't like doing it. So categorizing the daily tasks for yourself, whether it's personal or business, is extremely useful and sheds a lot of light on how you are spending your time and what amount of it is in areas that you enjoy versus not enjoy. I highly recommend, if you haven't gone through one of these work books or exercises or quizzes, to do so, and recommend that your team also do it, because it also sheds a lot of light on team dynamics. Sometimes people run into conflict because maybe someone is expecting someone else to do something that's not in their strength area, and perhaps knowing people's strengths can help alleviate that if we're willing to shift duties and projects around to highlight what people are good at instead of things that they may not be great at and just like doing. So what do you do now that you know what you're good at, right? So the next step really is what I like to call not doing it on your own, because if you've had your team go through these workbooks and exercises, you now know what your team is really good at and what they're not really good at. So it can help you change from the painful do-it-yourself mentality to doing it together. And that is easier said than done. But here's a sample entrepreneur scorecard. And don't pay too much attention to the value, the specific value associated with all of these tasks. They're somewhat relative and they may not apply the same across the board, but they're meant to be an example. Now, if we look at the $10 column, maybe this is $10 an hour type tasks. Maybe it's not. But again, don't focus on the exact dollar amount too much. Is the business owner spending time scheduling their own meetings? Is the business owner spending their own time calling up to confirm their appointments and meetings? Is that the best use of this business owner's time? So these are things where, looking at an example entrepreneurial scorecard, you're seeing, okay, maybe I'm spending several hours a week in $10 an hour type tasks. Is that really a good use of your time given what resources you have in your organization? So this type of scorecard is a really good reassessment tool based on what you know about your strengths and what your team's strengths are. Let's go over to the $100 column. Some examples from there: website development, writing newsletters, copywriting, project management, writing blog posts. So some of these tasks are getting a little bit more complex, and in especially smaller organizations, the business owners might be doing some of this work, or maybe a lot of it. So this helps to categorize some of these tasks into the column where they're a little bit more creative. So maybe you're not a very creative business owner and you find yourself doing a lot of graphic design or project management or writing in the copywriting realm and blog posts. You need to take a step back and see, okay, is that really a great use of your time compared to what other things you could be spending your time on? And the same goes for the last two columns of $1,000 items and $10,000 items. So let's say creating a sales presentation. Is that the best use of your time? Or is there someone else who loves creating presentations, could do that all day for you and get it done faster? So you kind of see the pattern now where you're looking at this scorecard and assessing, is that something I should be doing given my resources right now and my time right now? And is there a high dividend on the amount of time I'm spending on that particular task? This is not meant to be a one-size-fits-all approach at all. It's an example. So I hope that you can use this scorecard and apply it in your daily and weekly approach to your business and potentially your personal life as well. So the entrepreneurial operating system has a method of organizing the company's team into an accountability chart, which is somewhat similar to an organizational chart. But this is one of the main tools, and it actually highlights the roles that people play and where they fit in with everything else. So instead of an org chart where it just shows who is the supervisor for XYZ team members, this shows that as well as the function of the individual and the individual roles that they alone are accountable for. So once you've gone through the StrengthsFinder or another type of strength analysis worksheet and found that, hey, your team is excelling in certain areas, you can potentially group everyone and put them in roles where they're fitting well and within the organization. Now, this really helps the issue of, is your team confused about who is responsible for what? And is there a lot of time being wasted because there's an accountability knowledge gap? So that's what I was referring to earlier. If people don't know who's responsible for something or who's accountable for something, then generally what happens is no one is accountable for that particular thing. Another question to ask is how many goals don't get accomplished on time because no one is accountable and driving that particular goal. So at the end of part 2, what we're looking at is how do we use everyone's strengths individually and group them together in a way where we can get goals accomplished and put people in positions where they are accountable for things that they are good at. We're going to part 3, which is meetings. Everyone loves meetings. That was sarcasm, right? So here's a meme that's really popular online. Let's have a staff meeting and discuss the things that must happen but will never actually end up happening. All right, that happens a lot. And some people have just accepted that is how meetings will happen, but it doesn't have to be that way. There are many complaints about meetings. The top is probably no published results. This is from attentive.com. And the next common complaint would be certain individuals are dominating the meeting. Third common complaint, it's a disorganized meeting. The fourth complaint, poor preparation. The fifth complaint, it was inconclusive, no clear decisions were made. I think we can all agree these are complaints that we've had at some point in time regarding meetings, and is probably still a consistent concern with meetings. So what I want to help you do today is avoid death by meetings by understanding the impact of inefficient meetings, meetings that are not focused on the results, but rather focus more on just discussion over discussion. And there's about 11 million meetings in America every day, and they cost companies about $37 billion a year and a lot of stress. Not only that, about a 10-minute delay 4 times a week adds up to a full week per year of unproductivity per employee.